Hi, I'm Umbreon Libris, and this is my Pokémon Legends gameplay journal, Week 3. I said that we would start the week by going to the Alabaster Icelands, but the first day that I played this week, I started kinda late and I didn't really feel like going somewhere new, so I decided to just go complete some quests and do some exploring. Indigo told me that she'd found Clefairy in the Fabled Spring, so I decided to check that out, caught an Alpha Cleffa. Then I went to the coastlands to look for a Magby and didn't find one, but I did find a shiny Remoraid. I could barely see it at first because the Remoraid are so small and they blended to the water so well, but I did manage to catch it fairly easily, which was great. Shiny Remoraid is a nice, cool purple, but Octillery is another boring yellow shiny, so I decided not to evolve it. But I did put Remoraid to work along with my other shinies in the fields. And while I was in town, I got a request to investigate Clefairy at the Fabled Spring. I tried to tell the guy that I'd already seen Clefairy at the Fabled Spring, but he wouldn't have any of it. He wanted me to go check it out again. Of course, though, he wanted me to go check them out during the full moon, which had just passed. So once again, I just had to go to sleep over and over again, waiting for the right moon phase. I would go to sleep until the next nightfall, then right over to the Fabled Spring just in time to see the moon rise and tell that it wasn't a full moon, and then go back and do that again. But this time wasn't entirely wasted because I did find a shiny Clefairy. What is my shiny luck in this game? I know it's much easier to spot shinies when they are just out in the overworld and you can see them sparkle and hear the tone, but still, this feels like a lot, and this is not a complaint, this is great. And hey, at least the actual Clefairy dance when it finally was the full moon was pretty cute to watch. Alright, finally it was time to go to the Alabaster Icelands, and as soon as I arrived I got a real sense of how harsh of an environment this was, because I spotted a dead Aipom at the bottom of the cliff. It had clearly fallen to its death. Very sad. I didn't immediately go where I was supposed to. I did a lot of exploring. I went through the caves. I caught a Zorua, really excited to put that on my team. I climbed a lot of mountains, and as I climbed down them or jumped down them or fell down them, I was really thinking, we need a flying ride Pokemon. We need something that replaces the glider from Breath of the Wild. You can't give me a Breath of the Wild derivative game and not give me a glider. The glider was the best thing in Breath of the Wild. Oh hey, it's a flying ride Pokemon! I didn't really expect that. I thought because the last area is the ice area, I thought we'd get some kind of ice-related ride Pokemon, but this is great. Braviary itself looks pretty cool. I didn't know immediately what type it would be, but it looked like either a psychic flying or a ghost flying maybe. Pretty cool. And I really like Braviary's Warden. It's like a tiny Cheryl. Sabi wanted me to, I guess, prove to her that I was dedicated to actually using Braviary and quelling the Lord Avalor, so I had to chase her to various locations, and I couldn't fly! That was the worst part of it. I wanted to fly from those high mountains. But eventually I did catch up to her at Snow Point Temple, and actually complete, I think, the first real puzzle in this game. It wasn't a complicated puzzle, it felt like an early game Zelda puzzle, but I liked that it was there. It was not bad. And when I reached the top, Sabi and Braviary both accepted that I needed Braviary's help and that I was ready to do what was necessary to get it. So now with Braviary at my side, I jumped off the cliff and had Braviary save me, just as Breath of the Wild intended. We flew up to the top of Avalug's Legacy and picked up a piece of eternal ice. Pokemon really ignoring its history here. For some reason, Garrick also manages to make it to the top of Avalug's Legacy at the exact same time, and this is something that's starting to bother me a little bit about the various quests and story beats where you're told to go do something, but then the person who told you to go do that thing goes with you. I don't know, later I did this whole mushroom hunting side quest with Swinub, but I didn't actually use a Swinub to go mushroom hunting, and I didn't actually pick up any of the mushrooms. I just interacted with the spot that was marked on my map, and the guy who asked me for the mushrooms comes and gets them. I don't know, I could have picked up the mushrooms. I could have gotten the Eternal Ice and just taken it back to Garrick. Either way, that meant that it was time to go quell Lord Avalor. This was an incredible encounter. The size of the Avalor really impresses you. It's a scary thing to face, and it really feels like an intense battle. Its attack patterns are not exactly complicated to avoid, but it really keeps you on your toes with the way that it changes them around. The one bad thing about this fight is that the game explicitly tells you to dodge Avalor's attacks, and you are supposed to dodge the ice that comes on the ground, but if you try to dodge the ice missiles that it throws from above, it slows you down to the point that it actually makes it easier to get hit, and if you get hit once, you're going to get hit again. It took me a few tries, but it felt really good when I finally made it to the end of the battle and cleared its frenzy. And I have to say, I really like this look of Avalor. I liked the original too, but this one with its size making it really imposing, it's really cool, and the rock type feels fitting for it. The one thing that's disappointing is that other Avalor are not this big. Maybe an alpha one is, I haven't found one yet, but normal Avalor are disappointingly small. Anyway, with Lord Avalor quelled, it was time to head back to Jubilife City and report our progress to Commander Kamado. And things seemed to be going well until the next morning. Not a lot of real plot had happened so far. There was the setup stuff at the very beginning and a little bit of interaction between the Pearl and the Diamond clans and the Galaxy team, but really not a lot of story. But here, it really picks up. Kamado sees some connection between my arrival and the frenzies of the lords, and between me quelling their frenzies, on his orders, and the expansion of the rift in the sky, and he decides that I've got to fix it. And until I fix it, I'm banished? I really appreciated Arita standing up for me here by pointing out that you cannot prove a negative, which is a great thing to keep in mind. But it's no good. I'm sent off on my own anyway. Well, not entirely on my own. Even though the Galaxy team is not allowed to help me, Volo and the Pearl and Diamond clans are willing to help me. And in fact, Volo takes me somewhere special. The Ancient Retreat, where he introduces me to Kogita. Or Kogita? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but someone who is clearly Cynthia's ancestor, and potentially also Volo's ancestor? It's hard to say. I really like Kogita's design as a sort of old Cynthia, and I'm really interested to find out more about her. I hope we get some of her backstory, and also more of Volo's backstory, because the more he hangs around, the more I start to feel a little suspicious of him. And I was clearly right to feel a little suspicious of Commander Kamado. I don't know what Volo's thing is yet. But at least so far, Volo is helping me along with Adaman. So I headed off with them to explore the 3 lakes of Hisui. The game seemed to really want me to go to Lake Verity first, so just to be contrarian, I decided to start with Lake Valor. We head over to the island in the middle of the lake, where I send a text message to God to let him know that we've arrived, and he buzzes us in. I was expecting these trials to be something along the lines of what we faced at Snowpoint Temple, but that's not what we got. At Lake Valor, we start by facing an Alpha Overquill. It's a decently high level, 58 I think it was, but compared to the main team members that I've been carrying around, who are in the high 60s, low 70s, it did not feel difficult. When I defeat it, Azelf shows up and challenges my willpower. It gives me a stack of bombs and dares me to hit it, but when I try, it just immediately vanishes. It's impossible to hit it. But this is the being of willpower. What you're supposed to do, it's pretty obvious. Just keep going and don't give up. Eventually, Azelf just lets you hit it and gives you its fang? Does not look like a fang, it looks more like an open envelope. But maybe there's a little sliver of fang inside. I don't know how this works. And we're off to Lake Acuity. Same deal. go to the island, get buzzed in by God, face an alpha Pokemon, encounter Uxie, who asks me for my 2-step verification code? This is, I think, the only trial that offers any real measure of difficulty. I mean, the alpha Pokemon battles can be difficult, it depends on your level and which Pokemon you have with you, but the trial itself, the thing that the Lake Guardians ask you to do, this is the only one that can trip you up. Hopefully you know at this point how many eyes different Pokemon have, but it's possible that you haven't encountered all of them or that you forget exactly what their faces look like. It happens. And then having to say them all back to it in the right order and all at once, it can be a problem. Not that I got it wrong, I just had to stop to think about it, but I got it on the first try. So with Uxie's claw in hand, we headed off to Lake Verity finally. Mesprit's trial is the one that felt the least like an actual trial. It just asks you several questions, and ideally you answer honestly, but I really doubt that different answers give different results. It's not like Mesprit or the game can really know whether my answers are genuine or not. But Mesprit does accept my answers at least, and it gives me its plume. Having all 3 Lake Guardian artifacts in hand, it was time to head to the Shrouded Ruins and puzzle over this mural for a little bit? Oh no, the Lake Guardians show up and they just create the red chain and give it to me while all of us are over here trying to puzzle out whether myths are real or not. But that means that I have everything that I need, in theory, to go bind space-time back together. I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna work, but I guess we better go let Kamado know that we solved the problem, or at least that we're ready to. Which means, Jubilife Village! I'm back, baby! I can finally change clothes again. Honestly, that was the most annoying thing, is that when I got banished, I hadn't actually changed my clothes yet, but I didn't want to stay in my snow outfit the whole time. Of course, I didn't go straight to see Kamado. I had other quests to pick up and to complete. And I guess I dawdled for too long because it turns out Kamado has left. Kamado has decided to go and brute force the Pokemon that someone glimpsed on the other side of the space-time rift. Seems like a really stupid idea. So hopefully we can stop him. So we run over to the Coronet Highlands, head up to the summit of Mount Coronet, and stop here, because I don't actually want to go finish the plot right away, and they're giving me the opportunity to explore and complete some quests, so I'm gonna go do that, and we'll see how all of this wraps up next week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter.